I do need like friends to talk to about it because you get kind of scared because you're like, okay, I don't want to seem like a crazy person, but I actually kind of think something way different than like most people think now.
Okay.
Hello everybody, welcome back to North and South. It's been a long time since I vlogged, like 3 weeks. We got back from Daniel's beautiful wedding, and then we had a stomach bug go through the family, which was brutal. And then we just started getting back into the swing of things. And I have a kitty here who wants some of the meat I'm cutting. I just haven't vlogged, and so here I am vlogging again. And I think I haven't vlogged because I'm not really doing anything spectacular. And so I'm like, I don't know what I would vlog about, but I figured I'm just gonna need to make my first video back. Because at least for me, having a YouTube channel, sometimes I get out of the habit and then it gets a little bit overwhelming and I don't remember how to do it anymore. But today is a rainy day here in February. And we're just doing different things around the house. Pearl's in the room, her room playing flute. Peter's working on a project that he and Andrew have going. Yeah, you were painting, and I am making some beef soup. I get the beef stew meat from Costco, though it comes in these like enormous pieces. And so I cut it up even smaller. But we have the missionaries coming to dinner tonight, the local sister missionaries or the girls. I know how to cook on a cold day. I like to make soup, so we're gonna take advantage of the cold rain, and I'm making this yummy beef soup. I'm also gonna make some rolls from, he's a YouTuber, and I got this cookbook, and his stuff is pretty simple, but then it's like the best. And these are definitely the best rolls I've ever made. There's like they are a little bit of a milk dough, and they also use a tongzong, I don't know how you say it, which if you don't know what that is, it's like where you take and you cook a little bit of the yeast with a little bit of milk and water, and it creates this paste that you add to the dough and makes it a lot more moist, and I don't know, it just is, it's amazing. So I'm doing that. Mike's upstairs studying, and I think that's it. That's what we're doing around here. Kitty knows as soon as I start cutting, he shows up, and then he begs for little scraps, which is cute most of the time. Do you want a little bit of the beef? Beef is your favorite, huh? I'll give you a little bit, because I can't say no. Kitties are hard to say no to. I know. I love making soups with bone broth. If I have my own, that's amazing. I do love, Kitty, you gotta leave it alone. I like making my own bone broth. From what we did after Thanksgiving is the turkeys all went on sale, and we had just learned how to smoke a turkey, and it was so good. And literally whole turkeys, big butter balls or whatever, were $4 each. So we bought like 9 of them, and we've been doing about one a week on average. And that carcass makes the best bone broth, a little bit of smokiness. So maybe I'll make a video on how I make bone broth, because it's one of my favorite things to do. I feel like a magician, and so domestic, and it's just so healthy and yummy. I made beef broth once with some bones, but I didn't actually love it. So I need to work on that. So I just bought some today so that we can all get this hearty, delicious, nutrient-dense dinner. I'm gonna put in carrots and potatoes and onions and some kale. I might add tomatoes, we'll just see how I'm feeling. I'm following kind of the same formula that I always follow for soup. I brown the meat in some fat, and then the fat depends on the flavor of soup I'm going for. Anything from butter to olive oil to today I'm using beef tallow. And then I get my meat out. It's not gonna be fully cooked, but it's brown, or seared. Searing your meat really creates a much deeper and richer flavor because of the heat. I don't know, it changes the chemistry or something. Anyway, so I do that, I get that out, And then I cook, some onions, some celery, some garlic, some peppers, carrots, things along those lines for a little bit in the fat. I might add more fat. And then I'm gonna add in my liquid, whether it's bone broth, chicken broth, maybe a little bit of white or red wine, some potatoes, something along those lines. Simmer it for a while. Today it's gonna be a little different because I wanna simmer the meat for a good 90 minutes to get it really soft. And then I'll add in the potatoes and carrots and things that I'm cooking with it. Thing about soup that I found is you want to, if you can, start early, because it's good to be done with your soup like a couple hours before you're going to eat, and then turn it off the heat and let it sit there, because then the flavors can kind of meld and develop. And also it won't be like lava. But I don't always do that. In fact, probably half the time I don't. Half the time we're finishing the soup right as we're about to eat it. When we got back from the trip and then we were sick, we found that we were all just kind of like spending a lot of times on screens doing like educational things, meaning like reading the news, because it's in the United States, it's, as you guys probably all know, it's been like a very newsworthy time, and so we were reading the news and watching videos about the news, and I don't know, it was kind of getting out of balance and out of whack. And so a couple weeks ago I was like, a couple weeks ago I was like, okay, no, none of us, including me, are gonna have any screen time from 10 a.m. till 6 p.m., including educational time, because like it just had gotten so like loud in our brains. We also made the rule like we're only listening to like classical music during those hours, just trying to elevate our minds a little bit. It wasn't an immediate shift, but within a few days everybody was reading books again and playing music and painting and digging in the dirt and just like getting back into our bodies again, because so much time you can spend on the screens that like you aren't even like in the real world. So that's been really nice. One of the things I do, especially on days where I'm feeling just kind of weird or down or lost, which happens, especially right now because my hormones are changing, but cooking is very grounding for me. And so I'm learning new recipes. Like I made a yellow cake from scratch for the first time. I can't believe I've made it this long, but I had never made. I just got like, when it came to yellow cakes, I would just go get the box thing, and it was so much better. And I made that a few days ago. Desserts and treats and breads, and so that really helps me be grounded and feel like I have a creative outlet. But I've also been pushing myself to read more and to also try to make some goals that I want to pursue as well. So I think that it's a good time of year to do that. I think winter is kind of great for that because it's just a naturally dormant time for the world. And so it's a good time to kind of ruminate on who you want to be and what your goals are, and to refocus and recenter and like reground yourself so that once spring comes, you really got some things rolling. I'm also happy to live in North Carolina where spring is coming. There's buds on the trees already. We had a couple days last week where it hit 70 degrees, so I'm very pleased with that. Anyways, that's what I've been up to so far. I think another reason I haven't been or that it's been harder for me to make videos lately is because I really have been on a journey, and some of you might have noticed this. I've been growing up, I guess, and I'm grateful for that. And which also means that I've changed how I feel about some things and how I was looking at some things. And so in a lot of ways, the last few years have been a culmination of years and years of like rearranging of things. I mean, I think all growing up is like that. But for me in particular, it has been a journey where I am coming back with new eyes looking at homemaking. I always have been a stay-at-home mom. I've had a lot of times when I was a stay-at-home mom, something I did on the side. For many years, I was a professional photographer. I would do family portraits and weddings. I often had a blog of some sort and did things along those lines. And obviously over a dozen years ago, Mike and I started working with doTERRA. But I have always loved being a mom and known how important it was. But I think still there was a lot of complexity to that, and a lot of, I don't know, it's hard to describe, and this is a longer conversation, but I think over the last few years, I've really come to look at homemaking and womanhood with new eyes. And you may have noticed that I've grown my hair out. You may have noticed that I have been wearing dresses more. In fact, since about, 6 months ago, I've been trying to wear a dress every day, just as an experiment for myself. It's something I toyed with for a long time and wondered if that might be an interesting experiment. I like to experiment with things and try things out, and I have found a lot of, I guess I've had a lot of insights as I've worn a dress and grown my hair out. And I know that for some of you, that will seem strange, like what does that have to do with anything? But I wanted to try it just because traditionally women had long hair and wore dresses. And this was something that used to irk me. I didn't understand it. And I don't want to get into the weeds too much, but it's all part of my journey to look differently at womanhood and homemaking. And one of the things that I am really inspired by is the idea that homemaking is truly magical and is a gift that you can give to your family, to your husband, to your kids. And it's something that I think mothers are particularly well suited for. It doesn't necessarily come naturally. It's something that you have to learn and a skill you have to develop. But I think when you do, there's a real magic to it. It's like truly something very, very magical. I don't know if there's I guess a better word might be spiritual, but it's like spiritual magic in a way. And I wanted to, one of my favorite quotes is from C.S. Lewis, and he's writing a letter to a friend who is a homemaker. And he says, I think I can understand that feeling about a housewife's work being like that of Sisyphus, who was the stone-rolling gentleman. You have to look up the story of Sisyphus if you don't know what he's talking about. But it is surely in reality the most important work in the world. What do ships, railways, mines, cars, government, etc. exist for, except that people may be fed, warmed, and safe in their own homes? As Dr. Johnson said, to be happy at home is the end of all human endeavor. I just think that's so true. And he finished that quote by saying, so your job is one for which all others exist. And as I have turned back at homemaking and not only realized that I can give and create magic for others, but I can do it very purposefully, like to make it magical. That magic has spilled onto me and made me look at femininity and womanhood differently, and the magic and almost mysticism that is involved in that, and as God has given us that role. I think I used to look at it as God told me about women and the nature of women, and then I wondered, is that how I feel? Is that my reality? Is that who I am? These are kind of, definitions, but you might not be exactly that. But in the last few years, I've actually changed more to understanding that God is saying, here's how I think you should play out your role. And here's what I'm asking you to do as a woman, instead of this is what will come naturally to you. It's kind of irrelevant to ask what comes naturally to you. It's more like, do I trust that the Lord knows how I can be happiest, and how my family can be happiest, and how the world can be happiest? And if I follow the way that he is set up, will that work? And so you can experiment. I know that I have. And as I have leaned into trying to be the kind of woman that God describes in scripture and from his leaders, I have found the magic and I found the joy of it. And I have seen the gift that it is to give that to my husband and children. And I would have thought, if I could go back in a time machine, if previous me from I don't know how many years ago showed up and heard me say that statement, I would have been very uncomfortable with that. I would have thought that I was in sort of some weird self-denial or something. I don't know. And I guess it is a self-denial, because I don't necessarily think it's great to be super focused on yourself. But what I didn't know then and that I know now is that as I create that magic for my family, and I do it very intentionally, what would a mom or a home in a storybook look like? the magical kind that's so cozy and happy. And if I build that, or when I try to build that, I feel the magic too. And I feel happy and fulfilled too. And I'm really grateful for finally learning that. And I hope that I'm instilling that in my family, my children, but especially my daughters, the joy of homemaking and the power of homemaking, because everybody is so much happier when their home is safe and cozy and joy-filled and beautiful and magical. And I have the power to make it so. I think the reason that's made it hard for me to vlog is because I'm trying to focus on that so much. And also because it's so ever present in my mind that I feel like if I don't talk about it, I don't know what else. It's like all I'm thinking about. So I don't know what else to say. And so I knew that I just needed to make a video where I explained where I'm at mentally so that moving forward, I don't feel like there's so much to catch you up on. You know what I mean? When you see a friend, it's like, before I can tell you about anything, I need to tell you where I've been. And so that's where I've been. And I'm sure some of you have questions, but I also bet that some of you are on the same journey as me. I think there's a return to the traditional arts. There's a return to homemaking because we, for the last maybe 50 to 70 years, have said that it was demeaning and unimportant and holding women back. But now we get to see what it looks like without it. And we're starting to realize the magic of it and that we need it. And so that's where I'm at. And it's very happy. And I wish I had known that earlier, but that's, I guess, the gift that you gain as you get older, that you learn some things. But it also makes me happy. So that's where I'm at. Okay, it's later that day. No, it's not. It's 2 days later.
What?
I made the best stew of my life.
It was really good.
And then the missionaries came over, the girls, the sisters. As soon as they got there, one of them is somebody we've known for like over a year now. And we were so excited, and then we had dinner with them, and they had a little lesson prepared for us, and I totally forgot everything about making a video until later that night. So I thought, okay, you know what I'm gonna do tomorrow when we're eating leftovers, because our favorite thing in this house is for lunch to eat leftovers. We don't really eat leftovers for dinner, but we always have leftovers for lunch, and it's like
the
highly contested who gets them.
Yeah.
I mean, if I do say so myself.
Because it's that good.
Yeah, but I'm like, I'll record us eating it tomorrow for lunch. I didn't do that either. We actually, some of our family had it again today, but
I did.
Anyways, these don't look very special, but tonight I fitted a video with these. I made the yellow cake recipe again, but made them into cupcakes. Jude helped me make them into cupcakes, and Eve, you helped too. And then I have a really yummy ganache frosting. It is amazing. It's too cold. We're letting it warm up.
As you can see, it like holds its own shape there, so it's obviously a little bit cold.
Yeah, it's a little cold. And I'm like, is it ready? I'm like, it's coming out a little bit.
We're all just waiting around.
Dang it, it's still not ready.
Everybody just wants to eat some, so.
So we'll put that on there and then we'll eat it. I made a cake with it last week, 3 tiers. And we were so anxious that it looked like the cake from Sleeping Beauty because it was like still warm. It was like melting the ganache, and like it was literally doing this, and I had to stick like chopsticks in it to hold it.
Because the 3 levels were like all sliding off.
Yeah. We'll finish with us eating these cupcakes.
Yes. Now it's working.
A bigger tip would be better.
Do you have another one?
Yeah, actually. I should do a different one.
Now we're cooking
We went
with
with
gas.
no tip.
Took the tip off.
Are you not gonna make like a what's it called?
Oh.
No, I'm just doing the round kind. Have you seen those?
Asher thinks this is super funny.
Why no, I don't?
Because he thinks it looks like something.
It does.
Oh my.
Use a knife.
I've seen an emoji that
Are you
looks
supposed
like
to start
that
on the
before.
inside? I feel like I've seen
No.
it.
That's better that way. That looks way better. Yummy! That one looks more the best form right there. Okay, so far, these are all very awesome.
Oh my gosh, that one's obscene.
Yeah, that's one that didn't come
Carol
out
doesn't
quite
think it's
so
very
clean.
funny though. Look at her over there.
I want to eat it, but I'm gonna lose So
You are gonna. Well,
Pro struggling. Megan decided
Can I actually eat this?
a different tip
Yeah, eat
might
one.
be better.
I'll take this.
I'm.
You gonna take that one?
I'm not. This is like really not. It was in the fridge. It's really not warm enough to be doing this, but everybody's dying.
Okay, that's okay. We can wait.
do
You're
you
gonna
mean?
your hands are gonna be all
Mike was
sad.
not quite as patient
I
when the
know.
camera wasn't
I was
rolling.
telling her to hurry it up. Do you want me to do it? I have very strong hands. At least that's what I've been told.
Okay, guys, I'm sorry. It's dog poop. That's what we're doing.
Okay, look at this. So much better. Look how fast that's coming out.
Nice job.
Listen, it doesn't need to be beautiful.
It's the most amazing taste.
It just
like,
needs to taste good.
You guys can't even imagine.
Yeah, this frosting is the best frosting I've ever eaten. I think in my entire life.
Ever tasted in my entire life.
no.
It tastes like some high quality, creamy, buttery chocolate.
That's some high quality crap right there.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I said the C word. Sorry.
Not
I was thinking of taking these to some ladies from church, but.
Yeah, maybe not.
Look
Earl,
at
are
that
you
one.
scraping it off?
No. She's spreading it out because it grosses
Oh.
her out. Look at that one.
That one is just perfect. You got, let me move this. You got the height on that, you know? These all look really good. Again.
I'm not doing it on purpose.
Yes, you are.
I am not. Listen, this is the same mechanism, okay? This
Essentially.
is like the lower colon.
Hey. Okay, you guys gonna eat it? You're not gonna be too grossed out by
Why
this
are you
whole
grossed out?
situation? I won't be, because I know how it tastes. Oh, man. I know, I showed it. This is good, clean fun right here.
Well, I don't know. Well, it's actually not very good.
Why do you think I'm doing it on purpose?
I know. I'm just wondering how. Like. Well, I didn't before, but now I do.
Oh, look, it's getting warmer now.
Yeah,
It's coming
because
out.
this is the stuff that was like in my hand.
Hey, it was a perfect amount. Look at that beautiful set. Okay, let's put them all on here, the ones that haven't eaten yet. This is a nice visual here.
Were they delicious?
Yeah.
No, I'm not complaining.
That's a homemade. That's not a cake mix. And the
Also-
homemade chocolate and thing.
Which one's your favorite, Megan?
Well, they all. It's like we took one a day. You know, like these are different days, but that one's pretty good.
That one right there.
Yeah.
It's kind of broken up a little bit.
That one next to it too.
They're all really great.
Okay, Dad, you eat one.
Okay. I picked your favorite one.
Okay, thank you. Just eat it.
Give them like that. They're really awesome. They're amazing.
Yeah.
So, you know, doesn't look. It doesn't taste the way it looks. Yeah.
Well, I have some ladies coming over for a little scripture study thing tomorrow, so I'm going to spread some out and put them away.
Oh. Okay.
All right. So that's kind of a funny end to that video, I guess, after talking about the sweetness and magic of homemaking. And then maybe it's a good balance that also the laughter and silliness sometimes of life. But I hope it wasn't too jarring. I think another reason why, so I wasn't making videos because I knew that this was ever present in my mind, but also I was really hesitant to share it because I know it's slightly or maybe radically counterculture for at least big swaths of the culture. And so I knew that I would get some pushback on that. Also, at the same time, it's such a sweet and joyous thing for me. It's very tender to my heart, these things that I'm learning. And so it's like, I want to share the love and the joy of it, but I also knew that there would be some people who were offended by it and who were threatened by it too. And, but ultimately it was untenable not to continue on YouTube and not to share it. And so here we are. I don't want to, I guess that sounds kind of dramatic, but that's really how I feel. And definitely I would like to make a video talking about wearing dresses. I have completely changed my wardrobe because I'm wearing dresses and skirts every day, like I said, for the last 6 months. It hasn't worked all of the time. Because I sometimes am going to be working outside and I don't wear a dress. or doing something along those lines. And then I found when we were traveling that it was really hard to wear a dress in the front seat because I wanted to put my legs up to like stretch them out, and then I'm wearing a dress and it was silly. So I ended up not wearing a dress a lot of the days in the car. But that was the point of the experiment, to just see if it made me feel any different, and it has. And anyways, I don't want to go into that too much because I do want to make a video on it. But it's been interesting to have a YouTube channel for almost 10 years, 9 years now. It has been 9 years. It's strange to, I mean, everybody's growing up and changing, but I'm doing it very publicly. And so I definitely cringe at older videos, how I look and how I act and the things that I know that I thought and believed. But also it's a huge gift, and I've talked about the gift of it a lot. And so I have two options. I can either like stop doing it and stop being vulnerable on here because I will inevitably feel a little bit of cringe and regret as I look at it, or I can just hand myself over to it and be vulnerable and continue to be vulnerable and to let you know how I'm changing and what I'm learning and where I'm, headed. And so that's what I've decided to do. I've gone back and forth about it, and because when you get vulnerable, it's easier for the mean comments to hurt and to sting. But by and large, you guys have been super supportive and nice and great to our family. So, and it's been a huge blessing, no doubt about it. But that's where I'm at. And I don't know. I have so many thoughts on it. I have so many, because it is literally blowing my mind. It's this homemaking thing, this womanhood thing. I do need friends to talk to about it, but you get kind of scared because you're like, okay, I don't want to seem like a crazy person, but I actually kind of think something way different than like most people think now. And maybe that's not true. Maybe there are a lot of us that are thinking it and feeling it. I do find that on the internet, there are people who are going through the same transition to me as I am going through. But what joy I'm finding in leaning into homemaking and femininity and motherhood and womanhood in a very traditional way. I feel like if I gave it a name, I might call myself like a traditionalist. Now I'm just kind of looking back, and it's really nice because I used to look back at history and feel like all women forever were unhappy. And that was really a heavy burden to think that all women for the entire history of the world were unhappy because of patriarchy or something. But as I've leaned into living more of the way that my great grandmothers and beyond were living, I found such a sweetness in it. And so then I feel happier for them, for the history of women. And I think it's actually kind of empowering rather than the other way to know that women built this world and they built these traditions too. They believed in the way that we set everything up too. They supported it. They furthered it. And I can feel that connection with them and the sweetness of what we did and what we can do. So I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe it does to some of you. Maybe some of you actually find it highly offensive. But it's one of the sweetest discoveries of my life. So anyways, love you guys. Until next time. Bye.